Dorothea Dix was known as many things: an author, a teacher, and a social reformer. She was born in May in 1882, but she did not have an easy early life. Her mother suffered from debilitating bouts of depression, which stopped her from being able to take care of the family and the house. Her father was a Methodist preacher who often was away from home and also suffered from alcoholism and prone to depression. This put Dorothea in charge of taking care of her family, including her parents at times. Eventually, her grandmother decided that her parents were not fit to take care of kids, so her grandmother brought them to live with her. Her grandmother was very wealthy, however, Dorothea did not identify with this kind of life. She would often offer her clothes to homeless people and people in need, which her grandmother would punish her for. At the young age of 14, Dorothea began opening schools. She opened many in her future, but began at age 14. She was naturally extremely compassionate and understanding of others. Her beliefs about behavior included mental illness treatments that were inhumane and cruel at the time. There were many cases of caging, incarceration, painful physical restraint, horrible surgeries, and so much more in attempts to help those with mental illnesses. She was a large supporter of moral treatment in many different cases. She promoted the inherent value of compassionate care and believed that everyone deserved the chance to get the help that they needed without being hurt in return. She highly believed in the value of education, as she opened many schools and taught for many years. She was also an advocate for women as nurses, as she was a nurse in the Civil War at the time. The critical factors that brought her into psychology were her family history of abuse and depressive episodes. This could bring someone to see people behind the mental illnesses, whereas it was widely believed at the time that people with mental illnesses were no longer human beings and they were being possessed or were of the devil. She took this tour through many mental hospitals that were just horrific, which really put into play her natural level of compassion as example for giving to the poor from her rich grandmother at a young age. Her natural level of compassion brought her to make all of these reformations and fight for safe help for people with mental illnesses. Her value of education gave her this quality of not taking things at face value, which adds to her ability to see people, human beings, behind these mental illnesses. She has great impact in many different areas. For example, she was the first public activist to see what was wrong with mental hospitals at the time. There could have been others who saw the issues, but she was the first one to really see the problem and fight for it and do something to solve it. She was one of the first to see mental patients as human beings with an illness that could be treated. Many people, as I said before, believed that these people with mental illnesses were of the devil or possessed by some sort of demon. And she was the first to say, no, these are people who need help. She paved the way for mental patients to get genuine help, be in a safe place, and also for psychologists to do more research to help treat these people. It was a two-way street in regards to the impact of Dorothea Dix. She offered a road for mental patients to get more help and a road for psychologists to do more research and learn more about how to safely help these people. She added an overall humane aspect to mental illness. She wasn't just taking things as she saw them. She really added importance and humanity to these people. Towards the end of her life, throughout her entire life, she had a lot of health issues, which actually stopped her from opening schools and teaching. And in that remaining time, she was writing books. After the Civil War, she contracted malaria in 1870, which contributed to her health issues. In around 1887, she signed herself into a hospital established in her honor in New Jersey. She died in this hospital on July 17th of 1887. And she is currently buried in Cambridge, Massachusetts. Just some other interesting information and facts. She created one of the first generation of American mental hospitals, which is a pretty amazing feat. She laid the groundwork for mental health. While she was a nurse in the Civil War, she was the superintendent of Army nurses for the Union Army, which contributed for her fight for women as nurses. My favorite thing about her is that she has such a wide variety of skills and passions, including nursing and writing and psychology, and even just fighting for the rights of people in general. She opened a private school at the age of 14, which is incredibly impressive. She has been named the most politically active woman of her generation, which at that time was huge. And something I found extremely interesting was that she did not want her name on most publications, did not like praised for her work, but she did so much that, so many people were offering her praise, obviously, but she was always extremely embarrassed. And here are my sources. Thank you for listening and have a good one.